Welcome back to How to Cake It. This week I'm making an outer space themed cake for Connie's nephew's first birthday. Cristian is 1 year. Happy birthday, Cristian. Let me see if I remember how I made this cake, because a lot has happened since I made this cake. His whole birthday party is an outer space theme, and I realize I've made some outer space cakes on the channel. I wanted this one to revolve, get it, around like the planets, and to be like a lighter color palette. I don't really want to make a black cake, and they need to be yummy inside. That goes without saying. For the bottom tier, I baked chocolate cake, and for the top tier, I baked vanilla cake. All of the cakes were leveled, layered, soaked with simple syrup, and then I decided to fill the bottom cake with a chocolate Oreo buttercream. Yeah, so what I did is I pulverized. I crushed the Oreos myself because I wanted the cream in them as well. And I folded them into my Italian meringue buttercream, and I also had some leftover Swiss meringue chocolate buttercream, so I folded that in too to make it more chocolatey. For the top tier with the vanilla cake, I decided to do a cookie butter buttercream.
Why wasn't I invited to this party?
I don't know. Talk to Connie. Once I filled and stacked both cakes, I of course crumb coated them and put them in the fridge to chill. So as you all know, I like wooden dowels. That's what I use, that's my preference. I opened my dowel drawer. I was out of dowels. So I used bubble tea straws, which is the thing. You have to use thick straws, and you cut them just like you would dowels, and you insert them into the cake. And I should say each one of the cakes was double barreled already, because I didn't want them at the party to be cutting these super tall slices. Even though you see 2 tall cakes, it's like 1 cake on top of the other. Yes, 4 cakes. Like I said, I didn't want to make this a really dark black cake so everyone at the first birthday party has stained mouths. So I'm going for like a blue sky. They did have a color palette, so I was trying to match the balloons and all the other decor. Now, I dyed it 2 shades of blue, or so I thought, but when the color absorbed, they became kind of similar. So I had 2 shades of blue and a little bit of white. And to ice these cakes, I'm just going to layer on those colors. So for the first layer, I iced blue all over both tiers, got it as smooth as I could, put it in the fridge to chill. Then I went back and I added some of the lighter blue. Well, it was the lighter blue. I added some of the lighter blue, patches of white, and I just kept going around with my bench scraper and my spatula until I had, you know, the desired color. I was upset about my buttercream. Sometimes when you make buttercream, and I know this happens, I get a lot of questions about it, sometimes that the egg white is just a little too far. When you dye your buttercream, you could see little specks. But I have to say, this of all cakes was the best possibility. So I want to make all of the planets, and I had to keep reminding myself that this is a birthday cake for a 1-year-old. I was like looking up Google images of all the planets and trying to get them correct. But I also don't want it to look like a science project, right? It's like that fine line of I want each planet to look recognizable, but I still want it to look childlike and cute. You remember, Orhan, I've already made a fault line cake with planets, okay? Where did fault line cakes go? Remember when that was huge? And then I made those planets with chocolate. So this time I thought, I don't want to do the same thing, because what's the lesson? What am I teaching you? So I decided to go to a craft store and get styrofoam balls, the same way I would use a cake dummy. First I'm going to cover them all, then I'm going to paint them all. So I covered Mercury with a gray fondant, then I moved on to Venus. Venus is a surprising color. She's not the color I thought she'd be. Covered it with like an orangey yellow fondant. Earth, of course, you know, blue. Then Mars is red. Then I moved on to Jupiter. Jupiter's massive. Have you ever seen the statistic of how many times Earth can fit into Jupiter?
I have, and I don't think you captured that.
Yeah, it's not even, it wouldn't have fit on the cake. Like, if you really think about it, Jupiter's way bigger than the moon, right? I should have just made one big Jupiter cake. Saturn, Neptune, and I'm not leaving out Pluto. I don't care what anyone says. So Pluto is just a tiny little dragée that I covered. It wasn't even yeah, it's just a little thing. He's a little guy. So once the fondant is secure on all of my styrofoam balls, I also put either a toothpick or a bamboo stick into each one so that I could hold the ball while I painted. Then I mixed some paints and started to paint. Mercury looks kind of like the moon. It's kind of grayish, a little bit of black, really subtle. And then I moved on to Venus. It has some deeper sort of patches that I painted on that are kind of like brownish. Mars, I went too far and then pared it back down because Mars has some really dark, almost black areas, but then I just felt like it looked too dark and scary for a 1-year-old's cake.
You should have painted like a little Matt Damon.
On Mars? Okay. Saturn, how did I paint Saturn? I don't remember. Oh, Saturn is kind of like brownish, but it does have the ring, like the most noticeable ring. So for the ring, I'm gonna use rice paper later on and cut out a ring. So Jupiter has, you know, such a beautiful pattern. For this, I used some sort of white and taupe and a little bit of like, I don't even want to say orange, like a terracotta for the eye. You know the eye on Jupiter, they think it's a storm? It's moving, you know, Jupiter is moving into a new sign on the 25th. Just letting you know. But this is not about astrology. This is about planets. Uranus. I missed Uranus. How dare I? So Neptune is a darker blue. I painted that. Uranus is a lighter sort of bright blue. I mean, from what they know. I painted land onto Earth with some green oil paint. And then I added a little white at the top and bottom for the Arctic and Antarctica. I think I saved Earth till last because Earth was intimidating me. My own planet was intimidating me. I live here, like, I should know what it looks like. You know what I mean?
Does he know what planets are?
That's what I loved about first birthday. It's more like you could do whatever you want. My son's first birthday cake was a jukebox and I did a whole 50s diner theme, but now it's like make my Roblox avatar. I want to know, what was the hardest cake you ever made for your child or ordered for your child? No, how many of you have made your own child's first birthday cake? I want to know. Oh, wait a minute, the moon. Hello, I totally forgot to talk about the moon. So there was a half sphere cake, which is the moon. It was marbled chocolate and vanilla inside. I covered the moon in gray fondant, trimmed it, smoothed it, and then I used several ball tools to create craters in the moon. And then after that, what I needed to do was paint the moon as well. So for that, I used some white, gray, a little bit of black, and I just sort of stippled the paint here and there. Again, trying to remind myself, this is for a 1-year-old child. It's not supposed to be a scary moon. It's supposed to be a cute moon. I built it first. I put the moon on. Letters are already tricky because they're so delicate, right? Like you cut them out, you let them dry a bit, but when you're holding them and placing them, you could easily break a letter. That's why I always cut out more than I need. I cut out the name Cristian twice, just in case. I put Cristian's name on very carefully, and I chose a font that was a lot like, you know, just like simple printing. And then I had these little sprinkles or dragées that were in the shape of silver stars. So I placed them all around the cake. Now the tricky thing is the cake is buttercream. So one, I don't want to put my fingerprint into the buttercream. I don't want to put my nail into the buttercream, but I did have this sprinkle pen that I got at Southlake years ago, and I used that. Then I started to place my planets, which was really nerve-wracking because I wanted to be able to see all the planets from the front of the cake without having them be all clustered in one area because that would look very heavy. I also used some luster dust that comes in a little sprayer to spray onto the black paper, the shelf liner on the board, so I could have that sort of galaxy feel. And then I realized after I added the planets that I did want to put some darker dragées because the base board is dark and then the moon is dark and the letters that spell Cristian are dark, so it needed another dark element to tie it all together.
Astronaut on top is not cake.
No, it's a candle, same with the rocket.
A candle?
Yes. So Connie reached out to a company called Southlake Gifts. I'm shouting them out. This is not paid, but I want to thank them. And they had all these awesome handmade candles. So they sent us an astronaut, a rocket. So I just want to give a huge thank you to Southlake Gifts. All the candles are handmade. Connie picked up the cake herself and put it on the back seat of her car.
No.
Even Orhan knows, Connie, that you don't do that, and it slid.
No!
Can you believe that? Jupiter rolled away. That's not funny. She fixed it though. We were over text. So Cristian, when you're older and you're watching this, as I'm sure you are right now, I hope you liked your cake. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment and tell your aunt never to put a cake on the back seat again. Thank you.